Oh, it says we're live. Yep, that's what we see right now.
Good. All right, now we got to figure out where's Kathy now with the Zoom.
You have to go back to.
Now what's that? Is that
Pull
just
that, can you pull that little camera off there or no?
That's the Zoom
No,
camera.
the little camera in the corner of the...
webcam? Pull it off. You don't want people seeing on there.
Slide it over to the left. No. Can't you move the camera on the screen?
Oh, this camera?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna touch that. I don't know how to move that.
That way you can see the board.
But then what's this?
What's that?
Just slide the table over. Hey, Steve. It's Jimmy. You guys move the table over about 4 feet, 3 feet.
Even if they move it on an angle.
Where's your construction crew?
You would be right there.
God, even
Yeah,
if they
do
move it
it
on an
on an
angle.
Hey, just 45 it.
Yeah. Have it go that way.
No.
Keep it up here.
No,
No, wait.
no.
Do you want me to
Move
hold
this table over here and just angle them.
this way?
Yes.
Do you want me to hold?
If you want.
Wait.
They can get it. He's got it, just like Jimmy's got it.
Okay.
Just the table that Jeff's at, pull over. Yes, just like that, yeah.
But you're not gonna get
A
that.
little more. Not that much of an angle.
You're not gonna get those people though.
If he's angling it,
Hey, you
angle
know-
it toward that storage room door.
Can we move this?
Yeah, bring it over more, Jim.
Oh, it's not gonna work. Oh, that's a square. Never mind.
Yeah. Keep going, keep going. A little more. All right, now try the next one.
If they angle it toward
Yeah,
the storage
angle it
room
more.
door. Angle it at that storage room door.
Angle it more towards the door.
This way?
Yeah, towards that door. No, like
The
this.
back end.
More.
More?
Yeah. There you go.
You're just missing the front one.
Yeah.
Do you want me to angle it?
No, that's all right.
Steve is.
You could probably slide it over more. Yeah. Yes, you
Yeah.
did so.
Yeah, if they could, where Steve is, if they could just move it just a little bit over.
This one, Cassie, this needs to be going over more. We're not gonna get the whole thing. That camera needs to come down a little. Up front.
Better?
So how are we gonna get it down? It's not.
No, that's all right like that. It is what it is. You'll hear the video.
But you know what?
But
Can't we just move it over that way? Move the table that way a little bit over, and I think you'd bid them all. If we can move the whole table like where it's at now, just move that way.
no, that's the wrong way. You're talking moving this table this way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They got even
and
go
over
more?
Over here. Where the chairs are. Some reason the camera's not picking it up, so. On an angle, Cassie. More of an angle. And pull it right up to the wall. There you go.
Yeah, I think that'll be good.
Yeah.
That's good, yeah.
That's good.
That's good.
Kathy's on. See if she can hear you.
Oh, Kathy.
Oh, really?
All right.
Well, you're just the end of the table, are you?
Not most of it, but not all.
All right, so
of it.
how did I get rid of her? She was on there. I crossed off the video for the audio for her to work. She on there? No. All right, there she is. All right, so how do we bring Kathy?
Do you want her big on here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then
And then you can just make it full screen.
You don't have to do it yet because you got to start the meeting. Has the meeting started? Or?
Yeah.
no, I didn't start it. Oh wait, I think it is.
Yes.
All right,
Is Kathy showing up on your thing?
No.
Well, she doesn't need to.
But you know what? How do we get her to speak? She's. How do we? The last time I clicked on that microphone, she disappeared.
That was video. You got her on audio now.
No, I clicked
Go back
on this
to your-
right there. You know what? How do we get her to speak?
You bring her back up here.
Last time I clicked on that microphone, she went.
Kathy, can you hear us?
Kathy, can you hear us? No. See, I clicked on that. Isn't that a microphone right there?
Mm-hmm.
I clicked on
No,
that.
that's her. She muted
That's she muted
herself.
herself.
Oh,
How do you get this to stream onto YouTube normally?
just by doing the video board meeting and I hit it's on the starts. Minimize her just a second.
That's what we see right now.
Yeah, but minimize her for a second. I want to just make sure that we got it. Yeah, because otherwise it'd say we have to start. Let's say so when the meeting's done, we just hit stop stream and make sure that's if it's on mute, it's not moving or anything. When we put it on video board meeting is when it turns everything on. So we're good. We're on. We're taping.
Huh? That's fine.
Uh-oh. What happened to her?
You moved something? You moved the computer?
No.
Did power go off? Hit the button?
No. No, it's on. It's doing something though. It's like clicking on and off.
Something's
Click
moving.
it again.
Kathy's on. But she's not on the thing.
She's not on the TV.
Can you guys hear me?
Where's
We
this,
didn't
where's
touch
this supposed to be?
Nowhere. That's not us.
Okay.
It's doing something though. It's like clicking on and off.
Alright, that goes where? That's in here, right?
Yep. Just leave that. That's the only thing that
I
gets
can't
plugged
hear
in
you
here.
guys, and I can't see you
Yeah.
guys.
That's all that gets plugged in there.
Why is it blinking?
I don't know. It looks like it's loading. Yes, Kathy, we can hear you. Can you hear me, Kathy?
I can't hear
I can't hear you guys, and I can't see you guys.
All right, she cannot hear us, but I can hear her.
you. Try that button again.
Yes, Kathy, we can hear you.
Go down and turn the microphone on and ask if we can hear it. Turn the microphone on and say, Kathy, can you hear me? She what?
What are you asking me?
Yeah, I thought you said something.
No.
Alright, which that one?
Those don't go to any of the things. The only thing we get plugged in is here. This red one.
We didn't move anything, did we?
No.
Anyone, just say, Kathy, can you hear me? What about the button in the... Try that one, the black button. Did you try that one?
Well, it's going to be... Now it's over on court.
Okay, no, flip it back. How can we not get this shit to work?
And you think it's me?
Oh, well, yeah, blaming you. What the hell? You're responsible.
Excuse me?
How about... Did you click something on the TV?
No, I didn't click anything on the TV. I was sitting here talking to you.
Is the other one on? Turn the other TV on, too.
I was over there.
Is there something blocked on here?
Okay, push on that blue button.
This one?
Plug and play. There you go.
So it's gonna take a minute. It's
Yeah.
gonna take a minute. I just,
There you go. She's on there.
all right. Let's see if we
Now, how do we know the microphones are working?
We don't. We gotta hopefully, we'll listen to it on our YouTube.
No,
This
how do we
is-
check the microphones?
Oh, I already did. I already
They're
checked them. They're working.
Hey, Jeff. Jeffrey. Jeff.
All right, she's on the other.
Jeffrey,
So when she turns her video on, we should be good.
give me a microphone.
The microphone.
For a favor. No, microphone.
Oh, microphone.
Yeah.
I thought you said give me my phone.
Kathy.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I wanted.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Email, did you by any chance print off that email that Kathy sent us? It
When?
didn't go to you, I emailed it to you.
When?
About 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock.
Oh, I was out of the office. I had to go to PT.
Is there any chance you could print it, or is it too late? You don't,
I can get it. You mean for later or for now?
no, I was thinking I will use my phone. I'll use the one on my phone.
All right.
I mean, there is, but I don't know, Starlink, is there Wi-Fi internet?
There's supposed to be.
So, there is, I just don't know the password.
Oh, I don't have the password. Where's Scott? Does Scott have it? Scott's got to have it.
Not only do I know your daughter-in-law, I adore your daughter. Yeah, no, Rebecca is phenomenal. I know. Yeah, no, she's incredible, and Ben too. Yeah. Yeah, we had an unruly spectator. Lord knows nobody in Medina can answer a question under 72 sentences. You know how late our meetings are? We start our meetings at 6 o'clock, and we almost never leave before 10.
What'd you need, Jeremy?
They want to know the Wi-Fi.
Oh, we can't give that back.
I didn't think so. I didn't think so.
Yeah.
Eventually we will, though.
Yeah, no, it'll show up.
Yeah. Uh-huh. All right, so
What you doing?
writing everyone's name.
Oh, okay.
If I know them, some I don't know.
No, you have it?
Wi-Fi password.
I don't. And Scott said we can't give it out anyway. So.
Your attorney's up there, and then. Yeah, I kind of would.
Are we good to go, Jeremy?
We're all good. Yeah.
Everything's good?
Uh-huh.
Okay, cool.
That's got to go down there. If you,
Yeah, Jeff, grab that microphone. Right here. Right here. Yeah.
uh-huh.
You want me to move? What do you got?
Tomorrow we'll have 3 new lights. They're renovating our new system. Sorry, you're afraid. One camera reaching.
You wanna sell us your old stuff? We have none.
Probably have that one, something. The thing is bad. I'll give it to you guys. All the boards are-
Yeah.
You ready, Diane?
I'm ready.
Kathy, you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming. It's a joint workshop. I want to welcome the village of Medina. We're on
I'm ready.
to conduct water negotiations. You want to start, Marguerite? You're the guest.
I thought maybe we could.
Yes,
go
I'm
around
here.
and
I'm
introduce
here.
ourselves. So,
Diana with the Village of Medina.
Just trustee Village of Medina.
Marguerite Sherman, Mayor, Village of Medina.
Matt Brooks, village attorney.
Scott, Village of Medina trustee. Mark Crowe, Village of Medina trustee.
Eddie Zelini, Town of Shelby.
Linda Demina, Town of Shelby.
Steve Sipes, Town of Shelby.
Scott Wentworth, Shelby Town Supervisor.
Dennis Shepherd, Town of Shelby.
Kathy Bennett, Town of Shelby attorney. I can't see anybody.
Is this the camera?
Yeah. Can she see anybody now?
Just so people know, so I'm not gonna be able to see who's talking.
Okay.
Correct, and we only have your picture.
Yeah, I might turn my camera on shortly. My son played his first varsity baseball game today. Apparently they play baseball in sleet. So I'm trying to get warm and look presentable. So yeah, in about maybe 5 minutes I might turn it on. Are you guys streaming? Are you able to live stream? Because maybe what I'll do is I'll bring the live stream up, and that way I can see on the live stream, and then talk through the Zoom.
Yeah, it's up on YouTube, Kathy.
All right.
No, I'm turning mine off. Go ahead.
Okay. So we kind of, without really knowing where you guys wanted to start and where we wanted to start, I think probably you guys have a list of things that you want to cover. I have a list of things I want, that the board wants to cover for the village. My internet is not connected, so I'm gonna borrow Marguerite's paper. But one of the things that we talked about was so we were kind of figuring we would cover the historical rate increases, because we understand you guys had some questions about those. Covering the disconnections of water service that you guys have already undertaken with your new water supplier. Review of the water district contracts, unpaid and past due billing, our water meter reading policy, a water tank discussion, and then just kind of open up to whatever else comes up. Do you guys have a list that is separate for that, or includes things that are different from that, or is there anything on that list that you don't feel prepared to discuss tonight?
No.
Go ahead, Kathy.
So my questions sort of very similar, right? How does the village determine the rate that it charges the town? What's the charge that is for the water itself? And what is the charge for transmission and administration? What costs do you include in your transmission and administration charges? Discussing the ad valorem charge from the Niagara County Water District, talking about the pump station agreement, and then talking about the water tower.
Okay, and then that sounds like a lot of overlap from our list. Was there anything on our list that we wanted to talk about tonight that you'd prefer to wait to discuss?
I mean, I guess we can see what we get through. I think it probably makes sense to start with, the discussion of, the rate history. And I did go back, and I did a little bit deeper dive and, I see now where what I had read before in terms of that 1.6 times, I do see now that that's not the case and that's not what you're charging the town. And I did let the town board know that today that I'm doing a deeper dive. I did notice that, so I did just want to make that clear that what I had looked at previously indicated that you were charging the 1.6 times, but in going back and looking further into it, I can see where that was not correct information that I had.
Okay. I'm getting logged in now. Okay, so it sounds like you want to start with the historical water rates, right? Kind of like how we arrived at where we are. I guess, I went through a lot of village board minutes, really going back even into the 90s to try to capture old water rates, and I don't know how far back you guys want to go. However, I think that probably where the biggest questions that you guys have brought up in the past surrounded our water rate increases in 2013 and 2019. Does that sound probably like where, we could go back probably to the beginning of the established districts, but I'm thinking for brevity, we can always go back farther if you guys wanted to. Would you guys be comfortable beginning with the 2013 or 2019 numbers?
I think 2019 was the big deal. 2013, that is what, 397 or something like that?
Yeah, that's right. So the 2013 was, I think that's what established the $3.94 per 1,000 gallons charge. So I think it's the 2019. So I think we only have to go back to 2019. We can start there if the town board agrees.
Yeah, I think we're good with that one. Yeah, I think we're good with that, Kevin.
If nobody minds, I will speak on behalf of the Village of Medina to say thank you for not saying like 1993. Thank you.
And just so everyone's clear, Jess and Diana did a deep dive 2 years ago into the water. So that's why we're having Jess lead the discussion tonight. And
I know it takes some getting used to. Oh, I am offline. This is unhelpful. Do you guys have a copy? I'm not asking you to provide it to me, but do you guys have a copy of the water study that we got done in 2019? I think it was one of the things we provided you guys back in those initial discussions, but I don't know if you guys have it here to refer to.
No.
One thing I can do right now is I can send you guys each a copy of that, probably, if I can get the internet working, so that at least maybe we can all be looking at the same thing. Actually, if you have internet that's working, can you send it? Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. The email will come from Diana. Well, hopefully I have a copy local on my computer I can pull up and look at.
Can you send it out?
No, no.
If you can send it to Sandra, I'll have a print copy for everyone.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Sandra.Moore.
Okay.
Scott, is there any way to put it up on the screen?
Don't look at me.
Man, if I had the internet, I could do that.
It
I have to be on the same network.
We don't have the, tomorrow we'll install screen network.
Does somebody have it and can email it to me? Because I might be able to share it on my screen, and then you could see it on the big screen. I can't guarantee that's gonna work, but we can try it.
That's a great idea.
So Kathleen, Diana's gonna send that to you right now, and Scott is making hard copies for us at the table.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. A lot of the data for 23 has the 19 data in it, but like they draw off of it looks like the 2019 data for the 2023 study.
So which one are we gonna look at?
2019.
Oh,
Yeah, the other one's like 150 pages, quite long.
Yeah, the 2019 one's 155 pages. Yeah,
You gonna print all that out now?
I suppose.
ooh, and how many copies?
We can get it up on, it would make more sense,
Yeah.
but not the hard copies.
It's a
Kathleen
long,
can
long
get it up
page.
there.
Yeah, sorry, if we knew what, like I was worried we were gonna be like looking at old minutes from 1993, I didn't know where we wanna start, so I'm happy this is where we're starting, but, if I knew we were starting in 2019, I could have made sure you guys had this prior to now.
So because
Yeah,
it's so
you
big,
take
it's
on
not,
and do all that.
because of it.
The one on there says it's a 2019, but when you open it, it says 2023.
Yeah, I got it right here, it's 23. I got the whole thing
June
23.
I have it up on my
So,
phone, I just can't
can't we,
send it.
can't we just do away with doing these hard copies for now, I'll go on and tell them we don't need those.
Yes, I would think so.
This would be like, just crazy.
Yeah, if we could get, especially if Kathy can get it on the screen.
It's
Stuck in that box right now, working on it.
Hold on. Oh, well, you know what? I have it hosted. I wonder if I can get enough of the connections. Yeah, I just opened it up so everybody can see the link. Let me try to send it.
I have it, but I don't know what the number is.
Bennett K at what?
Kathy, what's your email? BennettK@BSK?
Talk into your microphone, Linda.
Hey Kathy, what is your email? Is it BENNETTK@bsk.com?
No, I'm not even gonna go into the explanation of how our email addresses have evolved. If you just flip it, if you do K Bennett, BENNETT at BSK.com, I'll get that.
right, so Kathy, I made that available on my Google Drive for anybody with the link, and then I made an effort to email you the link. If I have enough internet powers to get it over to you, hopefully you'll be able to pop it open and share your screen.
Okay, I'm checking my email, so as soon as it comes through and I get it open, I will attempt to share it.
Okay, yeah, from my side, it looks like the link left the outbox and went into sent, so I'm optimistic.
Yes, I see. I just got an email, so let me see if I can get it open here.
I don't know if you guys have ever been connected to the Wi-Fi here and show me on your phone what the password is. Somebody on our phone. It's hooked up to the Wi-Fi?
Yes.
Can I, is it open?
Yep.
It's guest. Oh, it's 2 hours.
We want the lights down a little bit.
Okay, well, I'm clearly sharing something, but not that document. So give me a minute.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, for future. I'll look at it later and wonder what it is.
I've got the same screen she's got. I think she was trying to get whatever she sent her to get it to share.
No, but she can see it. Let's start. Okay, next question. And I'm sure nobody here knows the answer. But the TV on the same network?
Mhm.
It's on the TOS network?
Well, you know, we punch it out.
It's
It's a hard one.
So no, it's
Yeah,
not.
no, it's not. No, this is a court system. This isn't a town system.
The TVs are a court system?
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're not a,
Not wireless.
yeah, they're not worried.
It's up to Gabby.
Oh, maybe we just have the plan, go without.
Yeah, just, you'll have to just talk us through and.
155 pages. I sure will.
You guys still hear me because I just logged on differently.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, now I should actually be able to open a document.
Beautiful. And I think like for you folks, like you'll be able to, like I could send you all the links to your phone, but I think for the folks in the public, they might wanna peek along where we're at.
Who's doing the cameras and the Wi-Fi?
there we
Oh
go.
my gosh.
There we go.
Al?
Kathy, you've done it. Okay, so now we're here. We have the doc in front of us, and boy is it full of words. And I think probably we want to start off, like I think you guys probably understand that the reason for the study was to get an idea of what our water transmission and distribution needs were and how we were able to meet them at the current costs. And after that, it gets into some really lengthy descriptions about our population, the type of soil we have, and then it does get into how, if you go down into 2.3 financial status, it talks about the income and how the water bills, the money from the water bills goes into a water fund, and how large business users are billed. It's like I could read all these numbers to you guys, but I think probably you guys have them somewhere, right?
And I'll scroll there in a minute, but I just kind of wanted to point out that I see on the front page it's dated June of 2023.
The one that was sent to you? Oh, yeah. Okay, so the data is from 2019. This is an engineering report that was prepared based on that 2019 data, but the study occurred in 2019.
Okay. It just has a June 2023 date on it.
Well, in 2023, it was presented to us with the data from 2019.
2019.
Later on in the report.
Okay. All right. So what section would you like me to go to?
So I scrolled back up to the top, but I've gone down to, I think it's page 12, which 2.3, it goes into the financial status, and that's where it talks about what at that point our rates were, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this is the 2023 snapshot, right?
You're looking at the financial status, right?
Yeah.
Kathy, can you just try to enlarge that a little bit so people can see it?
Yeah, hold on. I gotta try and log back in. I have to log into YouTube on a different device now, so that was working for me before. And that'll be helpful to me.
There you go.
All right, is that better?
Yes.
Yes.
And then just let me know if you need me to scroll up or down.
No, I think that's okay. Sure, yeah, no, what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to find the, I wanted to start where we're at or what she's got up now, but then I want to give her our next point of where I want to scroll to, and 155 pages, so it's taking me a second to get where I want to go.
What are EDUs? What's that? I could look it up, but if you know, that would just make life easier.
I'm sorry, what was that?
What are EDUs? Those users?
Outside the village, you
Equivalent dwelling unit, so houses.
Okay.
So yeah, users, I guess. Sorry, I'm trying to get to the next point, but there's like millions of pages of documents, or pages of pictures in this document, so hold on just one sec while I scroll.
So Marguerite, that 60 are the number of people that are drawn directly from the village water lines and not from the Shelby lines, correct? They're the homes that the village of Medina is providing water to, but they're Shelby residents.
Correct, that would be correct, right?
I don't think just Shelby, do we have anybody in Ridgeway who's tapped in?
Oh, so they could be there too? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many, it's just people who are outside of the village, I don't have a list of which houses, so it could be all Shelby, I just don't know for sure.
Are these only residential users, or does this number also include commercial users? Or business users?
Yeah, I think like Western New York, I think the business users are also included if they're tapped into our line from outside the village.
No, that doesn't include Western New York. They're not paying that for water.
They're not paying that for water, I don't know.
No, they're not.
Correct, but I don't know if that,
But it does include the businesses, except for West New York Energy. They have a different,
yeah, they do
So
have
it's not
different.
just, it's not personal use.
some of them are,
Some of them are, but not all.
but some of them are commercial,
Yeah.
at that, outside the village. So where are we going next, Justin?
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Specifically. Okay.
My internet, something went wrong.
Oh! This is why I am a paper copy person, see? We always have a joke going, because I paper everything, and she's,
Have both
yeah,
available, yeah.
she's computer everywhere.
I sure am. He's biting me right now.
Yeah.
Marguerite, do you know how many businesses are using that versus just residents? I was just wondering, I'm asking Marguerite if we know how many businesses are on there versus just residents. I mean, that's something we'll probably need.
We can get that information
Yeah.
to you, yes, I can write that down.
I'm sorry, I'm useless without this in front of me. I gotta find it.
Could you log into my phone and use my data from my
I did my hotspot, I did her hotspot. Now I'm on, but with from a signal.
Steve, there's no Wi-Fi or anything?
I would have thought, this is all, this stuff is all.
There
This
is.
is court, yeah.
Court, this is all. Things are gonna be all changed.
Tomorrow. We're installing a new internet system tomorrow. We'll have open guest
What
Wi-Fi.
kind of day really on this meeting?
Well, I know at our company, we have a guest Wi-Fi, anybody can get on, and then a private one. We do classes up there, and, students have to have Wi-Fi.
And that's what's being installed tomorrow. The town Wi-Fi, the employee Wi-Fi, and then open
Open Wi-Fi.
guest
You
Wi-Fi.
just gotta make sure you got it enough.
Yeah.
Because if you have a lot of people on their phones,
Yeah. Yeah, they're updating their system, because we've got a system from, I don't know, way back when.
yeah,
Probably when you were still working there, so.
I'm sure.
Yeah, we're just updating it, bringing everything online now.
I have faith in you too.
Should we print one copy, so that Jesse has a copy and we can just go throw it out?
It won't even send.
It's so big, it's
It's
not
so
so big.
big.
I even tried going through my email. Thinking it was.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad doing that because I know that that was top priority for you guys, is to understand how the water rates were arrived at, and that 2019 study, like, really lines out how we got there. Which, I'm, okay, I mean, I'm okay with doing that. I'm comfortable, I feel bad we're kicking the can down the road of like the thing that was important to you guys, but you're right, I mean, boy, have we done our due diligence to try to get this thing out.
Wait, what are we doing? What are we doing? Didn't hear anything for a long time.
Yeah, we're gonna move on, if you can't find it,
Okay,
internet,
okay,
so,
okay.
so we're gonna move on to the next one.
Be sure for everyone that's speaking, make sure you're talking to the
Screen on my end, like, I can't.
But can't we scroll and find the spot you want? I mean, if you kind of know what it is, can't she look for it?
More than likely, probably, but interesting.
I have it on my phone if you want to use my phone.
Be sure to talk into your microphones, because it is hard to hear on the YouTube,
What
and sometimes it
specifically
doesn't
were you
pick up.
looking for? Maybe I can like, you know.
Can you hear me?
The breakdown where we describe the breakdown where we describe the water rate and how we arrived at it, like how the portion of the 2019 study where we describe how we arrived at the new water rate figure.
All right, let me take. I'm taking a quick scroll through my phone.
I got it here, I'm just gonna find it.
Yeah, like when I scroll through what's that?
I thought it was in there, but it's just contract.
I guess I would suggest, just in the interest of time, so we can get it moving, if that's something, I know we don't wanna skip it, but if we have to and come back, because I assume we'll have other meetings, maybe we should just get rolling.
Okay. Alright, so, the next thing after water rates on our list is the water service disconnections. The 3 different meter pits, or 4 meter pits, I wrote 3, but I know you guys have 4, that are shut down at this point. We're not making any statement saying we don't believe that you have the right to do that. I guess at this point, we're looking to see kind of like what the intentions are, like I know the contracts stated, or my understanding of the contracts, which I believe is your understanding as well, is that the contracts were written with you guys having the intention to purchase water from us and for us to be able to make budgetary decisions based on the water that you guys are purchasing or not purchasing. I think we need an understanding on your current plans and future plans with the shutoffs that have been enacted thus far. And so basically, in layman's terms, how long do you guys plan on having it shut off? Is this a go forward thing? Are there other pits that you plan on shutting off? And then, like, just kind of having a discussion on where things stand right now and what you guys plan on doing with what has been done and what you guys plan on doing going forward.
Right now, I think the water department's doing pressure tests, doing the lines. I'm not sure what meters, what pits are shut down. I can find out detail and let you know, but as to what we're gonna do, we're gonna have to discuss that as a board, what we plan on doing for the future for purchasing water. So until there's a study done and, find out the pressures that are coming through the pipes from Royalton. I don't have an answer for you. this is something we're gonna have to discuss.
So apparently Dale went to our DPW superintendent, Jason,
Okay.
and specifically told him where there were 3 places where water was shut off. And that's,
You know where it is?
I do, but I've gotta find it.
So the sites that are off are Hoffman Road, and Maple Ridge Road, Shelby Basin and Maple Ridge Road, Saltworks Road, and then I thought the other day there was a mention of the West Ave extension was also off.
Can you say those one more time
Yep.
for everyone?
Sorry, Maple Ridge Road and Hoffman. Maple Ridge Road and Shelby Basin. Maple Ridge Road and Saltworks Road. And then Maple Ridge and West Ave extension.
And no Shelby board members are aware of that. No Shelby board members are aware that water's been turned off at those pits?
No.
Interesting.
So the highway superintendent made the call and let our DPW superintendent know, like, I wanna get better lines of communication going. I think with our boards, I mean, the board should be knowing this, and I think, Scott, between you and I, at the very least, we should have some sort of formal communication when this is happening, and like Jess said, it's fine, you can get the water from Royalton and do what you need to do for Shelby, but we have to be informed. So moving forward, until you speak with your highway superintendent, you're not sure if this is permanent or not with these 4 sites?
No, the board hasn't made a decision on permanent or anything. Like I said, if he's running pressure, if these valves are closed, then he's running pressure.
Are we gonna have that, cause I think at the last meeting we discussed that we would have, CPL was doing the testing on March 27th. So has that been done, and will we have those results? That's what he gave us at the meeting, so we should have those results next Tuesday?
I'll find out.
I think it'd be helpful. for us.
Go right ahead, Matt.
And I think part of the concern with the village on these pits being shut off, and they supply obviously water to different, and I'm not sure if it's exclusively to certain Shelby water districts, but obviously, and the village, found out they're off in a roundabout way, and obviously water's not being transmitted through them being off, but the village does have costs by maintaining those connections, so I think it's important for the village to know, if and maybe you're doing the pressure tests, that we can find out, when they might go back on. I mean, I think there has to be the communication, because if they're gonna be turned off permanently, and that may be the end of the negotiations, but we need to know that we're gonna cut it off on our end, so we don't maintain the cost of those connection points and everything that goes from our last user to those connection points, and whether we have to flush them out periodically, things like that. So there is a cost to the village by maintaining those, and if they shouldn't be maintained, if they're not going to be used anymore, we'd like to know sooner rather than later.
Now you just said Dale was talking with your guys,
Yes,
so they got their communication going, he knows, okay, what's going on.
yes,
Okay.
that's how we found out.
Yeah, but in all fairness, I think the board should be aware that that's happening too. You know?
Well, actually, that's sort of what I was gonna ask. I don't know. So this is a little bit different town versus village, and I bet you, and maybe I'm the only one who doesn't know, but I think probably it would be good for the village to kind of get an education on how this works in the town. Like our DPW superintendent, he's an employee of the village, so any decisions that are made that requires board approval. With Dale being elected, I'm not really clear on where his kind of his leadership ends or his decision-making ability ends and yours begins regarding water. So water being something that's purchased from the town, or from the village by the town, I guess I don't really know whose dominion that falls under. so when it comes to shutting these pumps off and making purchases elsewhere, the purchase contract, is that signed by the town or is that signed by the highway superintendent?
Contracts are signed, the board approves them, and I sign the contracts. The highway superintendent is elected, separate from the board, he doesn't report to the board. He can do tests, closed valve tests. He can't do anything permanent unless he gets permission from the board. So when he'll run his test, let's say like this, he closed, whatever he closed, he's running pressure tests with the engineer. Then he has to report to the board and say, this is what we did, these are the numbers we got. And then we decide as a board what we want to go forward.
What's considered testing period and what's considered permanent? So that what's testing?
I don't know, I couldn't tell you.
3 months, 9 months, I mean, what's?
I can find out from Dale. Well, he's gonna be here Tuesday, so we can ask him.
I don't know about you guys, but I personally think it would be helpful if Dale and CJ were at these meetings, so if we have questions, we're not constantly having to go back. So maybe we could get Dale and CJ for the next meeting. Just so that we're getting answers on the spot instead of having to keep bringing up and rehashing, leaving things on the open item list.
And then the other thing is, which has nothing to do with the village, but it's just something that our DPW superintendent mentioned, that if there's pressure testing going on, or if you're cutting off lines to the water lines, you know, I don't know if your residents know this, and if they're giving you feedback as to how much pressure they're getting in their own homes or not. But from the meetings that I've sat through, I haven't heard that residents were informed when the water was changing over. And I'm just asking for the residents because I have friends and family who live in the town of Shelby who are getting water. So, and it was just something that was brought up by our DPW superintendent.
Sorry, I'm not cutting off.
No, I'm
Okay.
done.
So I guess I understand the idea of him having like the latitude to take tests, and that you guys have a contract that the board approved for Royalton. So would Dale be, or whoever your highway person is, do they have dominion over water, how the water flows entirely? Like, do they, I guess, I don't know how to ask this, but does the town highway superintendent, are they the final decision of which valves are on or off? Or does the board approve which valves are on or off?
Board approval ultimately, but Dale has the authority to do what he needs to keep the water running. He's responsible for it. If something breaks, he's responsible for it. He needs to divert water for fire department, he's responsible for it. He doesn't. If he has to do something, he's authorized to do it. He's the superintendent. He has to come to the board if it's a temporary thing. If it's a permanent, then he has to come to the board for approval.
Okay, and so I guess what I'm thinking of, like, so what I'm thinking of is, am I okay?
Yes.
Okay. What I'm thinking of is like, I guess, and perhaps it's already been asked by Linda, but I guess, is there, like, so right now, we're under the impression, the board is under the impression, both village and town, that this is a testing period right now that we're in?
I would say that. I would say that, yes.
Okay. So we're currently in a testing period, but there's not we're not aware of a time period that has been designated for testing.
Okay.
But I
And
mean,
why would I inform you?
well, what I think I'm asking is,
If I do,
in a group
why
are not
am I
aware.
required to inform? I'm being backed into a corner here is what I feel like. You guys are attacking me. Why is Dale doing this? What's Dale allowed to do? And I don't want this meeting to go that
No,
way.
we're
No,
trying
I
to
think that's a
understand it.
misunderstanding.
Okay, well, that's the impression I'm getting.
Okay, what I'm trying to understand, because it's different. Because for us, Jason cannot make a decision like that without, I mean, he couldn't go into a negotiation with another
No, I
entity,
understand.
or,
Dale's an elected official.
that's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
understand.
so he
It's-
reports to the taxpayers, not to the board.
Right,
So He comes to us for money and approval to do stuff. Other than that, he's on his own. He runs his department, he sees fit, just like Darlene runs her department, she sees fit, she's an elected official.
Yeah, and that's all different in the village, and that's what I think we're trying to establish here, is where, so I guess, like, to me, I'm thinking, I don't know what the, and I apologize if I'm taking a tone with you that seems aggressive, because that's not at all my intention. I certainly am not trying to back in the corner, I'm trying to.
No,
Understand.
I'm not worried.
It takes a while.
Yeah, but it's just so far outside of what I've only ever worked in the village, so it's so far outside of what my understanding is. So if Dale goes to shut off a valve, like, what I'm saying is, I didn't mean we as the village board, I'm saying we as the boards who are sitting at this table, we as the council, whatever the words are, we as the, 15 of us or whatever. We don't know what that, we don't have an established testing period, that like, you could say, okay, Jess, we're looking at 6 months, or whatever, you know? Like, for some things, you wanna, like, when we look at something for the DPW, often we have to say, you gotta see it go through 4 seasons before you really know. But I guess what I'm asking is, right now, we're calling this a test, we, the 15 of us, are calling this a testing period. And we, the same 15 of us, have not decided, okay, this is what a test looks like, this is what permit looks like, right?
What I'll do, I got it written down there, I'll get a time frame from Dale, and I'll let you know how long he's planning on that testing goes. And if he's, what exactly is going on, so I'll let you guys know.
How long has this water been turned on? When did you start turn the valve on it?
I don't know.
Could on some of this testing also be determined by time frame, by how far he's going, by turning valves on and off? That too, I don't know. You know, in other words, we'll just say that, okay, the water from Royalton is coming and it's going, we'll say the Salt Road, then you want to try to go to 63, and then you want to try to go, I don't know, Fletcher Chapel. You know, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't have a time frame, so I understand what you guys are saying. So I mean, his testing period, I don't know, because I don't know how far he wants to go with it.
Okay.
So the only concern I have when I hear this, that I'm no engineer, but I would imagine that you can turn the valves on, right? And the water will flow for a day or two. You should test that pressure. The only thing that concerns me, if the board is not made aware, I understand it's Dale's responsibility, but if there's not enough pressure there because we're waiting months to test it, and there's a fire, and the fire department doesn't have enough water to put a fire out because we don't know what those pressures are, that puts the town at a huge liability. That's the only thing I'm concerned about. So that I would think that when you turn the valves on, you should be able to test within a couple days. And I'm not sure that's what's happening. So, I mean, Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, I mean, from a legal perspective, if something goes wrong, I don't wanna be in the middle of a lawsuit.
Well, if it came down to where there was no pressure, it's just a matter of closing the valve and opening up and down the water. You need that full pressure if we didn't have the pressure, if it's a situation like you're describing.
I'm no fireman, but how long does it take for a house to, by the time somebody drives out and changes a valve or whatever, I mean, a lot can happen.
Well, if I may talk, when they're testing, you should at least notify the fire department that we're gonna do some testing, just in case so that everybody has knowledge that if something isn't as usual, each fire company's aware of it. You know, because if there was an issue, you'd let them know,
He can also test, if I'm right, Mike, he can also test when they get to a certain point, he can test the pressure from the hydrants too, right? Or the companies like that.
Yeah, you can test in the hydrants, and normally, when this is all said and done, ISO will come around, the insurance, and they'll wanna test all the lines anyhow.
Right.
Yeah, they'll be around and they'll wanna test this, and it's gotta meet certain standards. So, it's just,
I don't I'm sorry, and I'm sure these are good questions, but just for the sake of time, like that, I appreciate those questions, and I think they're probably good for you guys to figure out, but do you guys mind if I just ask a couple more questions about the valves themselves for the group? That's a good point of like being able to go, just turn the valve back on, and maybe the fire is right next to the valve and all goes well, whatever the case. There is a cost to maintaining those connections, and if I appreciate your perspective there with the why would we have to share with you if we're shutting something off, but I think if the village no longer had to have the cost of maintaining those connections and no longer had the revenue of selling the water that went through those connections, it would be advantageous to the village to stop maintaining those connections. But then if you guys planned to use that water in the future and we weren't aware of that, we were no longer maintaining that connection, it could put you guys in a bad position if we didn't have an open communication or plan. So the reason I'm asking the questions that I'm asking is because it could be that these 4 connections we would no longer have to maintain. And as we're prepared to demonstrate, there have been significant costs to maintaining the system to continue to provide Shelby water. So if there are places where we wouldn't have to maintain those costs, it would be important for us to be aware. Okay, I think that's all we had for questions on disconnections. Did you guys have anything additional you wanted to bring up regarding disconnection? And then anything from you guys that you wanted to bring up to the village regarding those, other than what you've already told us you plan on getting the information from Dale?
Making a list for Dale for Tuesday's board meeting.
I'll have an engineer come in also and give us an update on what he's doing.
Okay, I'll ask him.
You guys have an engineer currently working on your water?
He was contracted to do pressure tests, CPL.
Oh, so this isn't Dale's doing pressure test, it's like a firm?
Yeah.
that does them? Okay. I don't realize that. Okay, so the review of the water district contracts is kind of the next thing, and this is sort of where you guys hop in the driver's seat, I think, because you guys had sent a letter over with your review of the contracts, and, or at least the letter came through your attorney, and I think probably we'll pass the torch on to you guys to kind of share with us your interpretations of the current contracts and obligations. Is that cool?
Sure. Yes. Hey, Kathy?
We can do that. By the way, is what I put up on screen, is that what you were looking for?
No, but it's very nice.
All right, hold on just a sec then. I want to see if there's one other thing that once you get past all the bazillion of pictures that you were talking about.
Man, it's got some words and then some numbers that are not in a chart, but they're like lined up. Like they're not left aligned, they're more centered. And if I recall correctly, Medina's on the left and Shelby's on the right, but that don't quote me there.
Oh, come now. You were just up.
You know how far back this is, you know?
Kathy, I can relate to you in this moment.
148. Retrying. Well, let's do that. Oh, yeah, I see what happened. Hold on, that just might work this time.
She's got me some expert description. Right, what I was talking about.
My work computer doesn't always like Google Docs, so after a while it kicks me out, which is why.
Go ahead, Kathy, if you wanna go with your point you made. We can't find that.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about the contracts, but I feel like if we could, it's kind of hard to talk about the contracts without knowing what the rates are. But you know, just in terms of the points that I thought were important from the contracts, you know, really had to do with, you know, you mentioned the ability to purchase water. So, you know, I think it's paragraph 17 in most of the contracts, you know, that notes that yes, Shelby will purchase all of its water from the district through Medina, except for such water as may be purchased from the town of Royalton. So I think that, you know, allows Shelby to purchase the water directly from Royalton. The other, you know, provisions that I think apply. I think the contracts control the rates. And unless we're going to renegotiate the contracts, the rates really can't change except as provided in the contract. And so, you know, what the contract provides, and give me a minute here to find it. My notes. Right, is that increases must be based on a demonstrable increase in the cost of performance, and that it can't be based on increased capitalization. So I think that's why it's important to understand, you know, where the increases are coming from. And I think it's also important to understand how that rate is calculated and what goes into transmission and administration. And the one thing that I sort of struggle with in terms of how you calculated the rate, right, is we have this provision in the agreements that says any future rate increase imposed on inside village customers shall be passed along to Shelby. I can't figure that out from looking at your rate schedule. And I actually wonder if it'll bring that back up. I did see that in here somewhere. This is really weird.
I have the rate schedule as a one-page document. You want me to send that over to you? It might be easier to open one page than 155.
Yes.
All right.
Because it'll be easier to explain if I have it up.
All right, I'm just gonna open up a link for you like I did before. All right, did it come over to you?
Give me just a second. Not yet. I'm sure it will. It just has to go through about, 100 different spam filters. Yep, there it is.
It's not a chart, there's no like.
Okay, I think I'm sharing.
Hands up.
All right. So what I don't understand in terms of how you calculate the rate you charge the town, right, is you have a fee that applies for the first 5,049 gallons of 62.99.
Kathy, can you blow that up, please? I'm sorry, can you blow that up a little?
Better?
Yep.
Is that better?
Yeah.
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 Right? So you have a sort of this set fee that applies for the first 5,050 gallons. And then you have a fee that applies per thousand gallons, based on the next increment. How do you boil all that down to get to the rate that you actually charge the town?
Boy, this is where it would be great to have that water study.
Right. And then what portion of that is actually the cost of water versus, I mean, that I think is really kind of the crux. So again, my biggest interpretation of the agreements are the village can't charge the town any more than it charges its own residents. So it's difficult to really kind of assess how that's being done and whether that's being done based on your rate schedule for people in the village, and then what you give the town is just a number.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one part to me? You're saying that the village rate and the town rate should be equal to each other? And you said that you got that out of one of the contracts?
It says any future rate increase imposed on inside village customers shall be passed along to Shelby.
Right.
I'm not saying that the rate needs to be changed, but I can't. I mean, I guess I can't assess whether the rate increase. I don't know that I have enough information to know whether that's being done. I'm not saying it has to be the same rate, but the increase can't be more.
Okay, yep, I think I understand what you're saying, but we're both coming from like an understanding that the Village of Medina rate to individual residents and like within the Village of Medina and the Village of Medina rate to sell water to the town of Shelby has never been identical, right? Like not.
No, and it shouldn't be because the rate you charge to inside the village customers should include debt service. Right? For capital projects and capital improvements. Your inside village residents pay for those, and the town should not be paying for those. So I guess that does kind of make that provision difficult to determine because it says any future rate increase imposed on inside village customers shall be passed along to Shelby. But then we have other language in the contracts that say an increase can't be based on increased capitalization. So I don't think you can pass through the capital improvements and debt service through the rate to the town.
I have to review the contract.
It's Matt Brooks here, and I've been the village attorney since about 2004, I think, so I've seen a lot of the increases occur, and it's my understanding that a lot of the agreements, when they were formulated for Shelby to buy water, when it was the base amount was originally calculated, it's more than what is charged to village residents because it's allowing Shelby, or when it's to separate businesses or whatever, access to our infrastructure. So it's always been more, and at least since I've been village attorney, the only time that we've had water rate increases, because it's always a board resolution, is through when we get an increase from the Niagara County Water District where we buy our water from, or if it's if it's something that is specific to the town. So to the best of my knowledge, we've only increased rates when we get an increase in our costs. Now, there are certain things that we have to maintain, like we just talked about, these connections that go beyond where our residents are, or, in fact, it's my understanding, and this might be something for a future, meeting, but our water tank, is really not necessary for the use we have in the village, only in emergency situations. So the majority of that maintenance and maintaining of that is so we can service Shelby and we can sell water to Shelby. If we didn't have to do that, if we didn't have these agreements, if we didn't factor in the long-term cost of that, we wouldn't keep that as it is. So there is some, and I'd have to look at the language about, capitalization costs, but the village has to recoup its cost of the provision of this, because even it's above and beyond just the cost of the water. So that has been factored in, and then I think what you're talking about, every increase we passed on is just based on additional cost to us, and the main cost is the purchase of water from the Niagara County Water District. So to get back and to go back from all these agreements, I think we almost have to do sort of a forensic analysis and look through all the board meetings and look at every time that we increase rates, and as a result of an increase from the Niagara County Water District. In fact, there just was recently an increase, Niagara County Water District, and that is something at a board meeting the board passed on to Shelby, and it would sort of be an equivalent rate to what the in-village people pay, because they're gonna have to, that's gonna be an equivalent increase. But it always was based on a higher cost to provide it, because you're basically buying into our infrastructure. And the people that live in the village, they pay village taxes, which provides it. They pay water rates inside the village. We have to finance and float bonds that are paid out of different funds. So it's a complicated thing. I think what we have to look at is going back, if we want to look at increases, and like I said, this may take a little forensic work, and look at every time there was an increase and correlate it to an increase in either Niagara County Water District costs or whatever might be attributed to it.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know how much. Obviously, the town having 12 separate water districts and putting these water districts, in service at all different times, having 12 separate agreements, some of which refer back to a bunch of the other ones, and some of which don't, some of which say some things that then seem to contradict something later on. It would be nice at this point if, in connection with these negotiations with respect to a rate, that we could somehow just boil this all down to one agreement, so that we don't have to go through 12 of these and try to reconcile them. Because it's a lot to do that.
Yes, Kathy, there's a lot of nodding at this table.
Yeah, Kathy, it's Matt again. Yeah, we agree. I mean, when going back in hindsight, looking at all 12 of these agreements, it's kind of a mishmash, and it's confusing, and it would make perhaps sense if everyone would be on the same page to say this is one agreement and this is one water rate, so you don't have to calculate a different number for every water district. I guess the question is how to get there, and and what's fair and what the village can afford, for providing it, and not costing us more in the long run than it does to sell the water.
I got a question. You say the water tank up on the escarpment is just mainly there for Shelby and pressure for Shelby and pumping. Does the village use any of that water out of that tank?
Well, I can answer a little bit, and I'm an attorney. I'm not an engineer, and I'm not a water guy. But from what I've heard and what I've been told by Jason, the majority, we rarely get into using that. The last time I think we used it was the fire on Main Street. So that's 2 years ago where we had to draw that water. Otherwise, it's maintained and it maintains the pressure mostly for Shelby. And we only draw on it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is in case of emergency. So, you know, if we were gonna cut out the situation where we were utilizing it and selling water to Shelby, then, you know, we might let that go and they might establish a new tank, you know, it's an older tank, it's very big, we don't need that big a size. So, you know, maybe the village might build a smaller one someplace else, we don't know. But it's part of the long-term planning that we do with the fact that we're selling water above and beyond our needs. So we've been maintaining it, and it's been a big expense to maintain it.
So I come to the conclusion that we just can't turn the valves on in Royalton without a pressure tank and pumps over there to feed the whole town, right? Is that accurate?
Well, you know, I wish we had, like you said, our water guys here, our DPW, but, and I don't know, I only get what we hear from him, but a lot of that, and there's apparently one of the issues that we were gonna discuss, whether we get to it today or another day, is there's an electrical pump there, or there's a couple of electrical pumps. 5. And the ones that run supply electricity, or excuse me, supply pressure to Shelby. We don't run the one in Medina. The only time it ran, I guess, was back like when I said the fire on Main Street. So all that electric going into those pumps, which run almost continuously, which I think last bill was $30,000 or was it 30? Whatever it was, that was something that, my understanding, without telling tales out of school here, is that for a long time Medina just didn't charge it, but it's in the contract. We recently have submitted in our bills and said, you know, we're entitled, it's a lot of money to supply the water just to Shelby. It's not pressure that we're providing to village residents. The contract says we charge for that electric. We have to reimburse ourselves. We haven't been doing that until recently, and it's my understanding that recently has been charged. I'm not sure if it's been paid, but I guess your point is the majority of what runs through there is an active water in and out goes to Shelby.
Just a real quick correction here on those. The ad valorem is what you're referring to with the 30,000. I think the bills for the electric are between like $6,000 and maybe $1,000 roughly. Yeah.
So with respect to the water pumps, what's your understanding in terms, is there one agreement that covers the pump? Is there multiple agreements? And what do you think the last agreement is that relates to those pumps? I'm going to tell you, the only agreement I've seen that seems to relate to the pumps is from 1998. So I don't know if there's anything else. I'm not trying, it's not a trick question. I'm trying to figure out what you guys think the agreement is and whether I have the most current one.
So this is Diana. The only contract that referenced the pumps was, you're correct, the 1998 contract, so the 4A. But I believe in there it references that at that point in time they're going to be on to help push the water throughout the circuit.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, and that's why I found that agreement confusing, because as I read it, I was kind of like, well, does this only apply to the one water district? But then it didn't seem to. Again, just more of what makes, you know, having all of these different agreements confusing and difficult to manage for both parties. So thank you for that. I just wanted to clarify that was in fact the agreement, and I had the current agreement that related to the pumps.
So I just pulled up for the amendment for 4 right now, and that one, that 4A or 4B or whatever you have written on there, that's not a water district, right? That's literally just an infrastructure agreement. Is that correct? Are you looking at the same document?
I have something that says amendment to water supply agreement.
Yep, I think we're looking at the same thing then, yeah. So that's where it specifically spells out how the infrastructure would be paid for, yeah.
That was 1998.
Yeah, and it was dated February 10th, 1999, signed by Merle Draper, and January 13th, 1999, signed by Herbert Brandt.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so I think the reason that that's not spelled out in other, contracts is because it's not a part of a district, like that this part of the agreement, this agreement stands separate from any individual district, and it's specifically related to that infrastructure, right?
I mean, that's how I read it, other than it seems in that first whereas paragraph to apply specifically to one district, which is what's confusing. But yes, outside of that first whereas clause, I would agree with you.
Yeah, okay, yep, I see what you mean, yep.
I don't think it has to say it. Well, I'm just saying that, I don't know that it has to say it in every single agreement when it says, Shelby agrees to purchase from Medina filtered and treated water for Medina's water supply system maintained by Medina in accordance with the terms and conditions of the water supply agreements previously entered into. And this was dated May 18th, 2006. So, you know, maybe it doesn't spell it out in each and every contract, but I think that line right there pretty much says it doesn't have to.
Go ahead, Kevin.
I mean, I don't have a whole lot more to say about the contracts at this point. I think the only other provision that I thought relevant at all was, going to this discussion of the ad valorem charge from the Niagara County Water District. I mean, I'm not sure what provision the village is using to assess that charge back to the town. I speculated that it might be what is paragraph 8 in most of the agreements, but that paragraph isn't entirely clear that it means that an ad valorem charge can be somehow assessed back to the town.
Okay, so I'm looking at one of the paragraph 8s that I think you're referring to, where I'll just read it for everybody. Shelby further agrees to pay Medina the actual cost, which shall be, from time to time, mandated by the Niagara County Water District concerning sales of water outside of Niagara County in lieu of charges assessed for Niagara County Water District and Niagara County taxes, deficits, and charges. That's what you're referring to too, right?
Yes. Yep, that's paragraph.
So, would you be able to put into your words what you think that paragraph is, or how you're reading what that paragraph is saying? I don't know if I said that right. Hopefully you understand what I mean.
I did, yes. Give me a second to try and formulate it, because sometimes I feel like, lawyers don't exactly write in plain English.
Amen. And I had a hard enough time asking the question, so take your time.
So this to me would be if the Niagara County Water District said, we're gonna add 50 cents, right, per 1,000 gallons for all water sales outside of Niagara County. That to me would be what this applies to.
I'm sorry, so, could you just kind of finish that sentence off, maybe, like, if we increase 50, hopefully I'm repeating you correctly, but correct me if I'm wrong. If Niagara County increased the outside of Niagara County water sale price, then, can you put that sentence in plain English for us?
Right, so if there was some charge that Niagara County said everybody outside Niagara County is going to pay an extra 50 cents per 1,000 gallons. That would be what that charge, or what that paragraph applies to.
I feel like maybe I'm showing my ignorance here, but like, so, yeah, so if they said we're gonna increase, which they do have an out of district rate, or like an out of county rate, which is paid. If the Niagara County Water District has increased their sales for water outside the county, then like the rest of that sentence is in lieu of charges, blah blah blah. Like what would the rest of that sentence look like in plain English from the way you're reading it?
Hold on, because I actually went back to what you shared from the water district.
Well, this is Matt here, and I don't want to break your train of thought, but I just wanted to indicate that the Niagara County Water District, my understanding, and I don't handle the bills, I'm not in the clerk or the treasurer's office, but does charge an ad valorem charge to, for instance, the village, and that basically we have to pass that on because it's the same thing as I indicated, like when we charge Shelby to buy into our infrastructure, they're charging Medina or whoever we sell our water to the same thing for their infrastructure to produce that water and their water treatment plants and transmission lines. So basically, and it's always been interpreted that section allows us to charge the ad valorem rate or pass it on. What it says is we pass it on for the water that we're going to sell. So the more water that we have to sell to Shelby proportionately, that would increase the cost, but it is something that, like your example, if Niagara County were to charge us more, well, that's precisely what they do. So
what they charge you though is based on assessed value. They don't actually charge you for water usage. Right? When you look at the bill that you got from, or the invoice from the Niagara County Water District, and I'm looking at the one dated January 22nd, 2024. It's based on equalized assessed value. It's not based on water usage. And as near as I can tell, what the village then does is it uses, right, according to the invoice that was sent to Shelby on September 6th, you've assessed 17.98% of that to the town. And based on some historical document that I found, it looks like that percentage came from a 2014 study done by Bonadio that was also based on assessed valuation. And not anything to do with water usage.
Okay,
Well, just let me finish quick here. So Shelby doesn't charge for water based on assessed valuation. Right? All of Shelby's districts are set up as benefit districts, so they're set up based on use and not assessed value. So I don't know how anything could be charged back to Shelby based on assessed value, and I don't know how using more water increases this charge when it appears to be based on equalized assessed value. And so I guess that's why I don't think paragraph 8 applies.
Well, I think that's the way it's been, even before my time, that's the way it's been utilized, and maybe I misspoke because I haven't really looked at this particular page that I'm getting shown now, but whether it's assessed value or usage, I think what that indicates is some of it has to be, it's being charged to the village, some of it has to be passed on. Now we might, I suppose, disagree on the amounts, but I mean, the reason it's in the agreement is something's gonna be passed on. There has to be some reimbursement of a cost that's gonna be assessed to the village. Otherwise, like I say, it gets to the point where we're footing the electric bill, we're footing this bill, we're footing this bill, and everyone's wondering why water is so expensive. But there are all these additional costs that have to be factored into, other than just the bottom line of, you know, the price per 1,000 gallons from the Niagara County Water District.
Right, but this cost in particular, you would be assessed this cost at this amount, regardless of whether you sold 1 gallon of water to the town of Shelby. You could sell no water to the town of Shelby, and you would be assessed this charge with nobody else to pass it on to.
Yes, because this is the Village of Medina supplying a service to the town of Shelby. The Village of Medina pays Village of Medina taxes to provide the services to their residents, not to town of Shelby residents. So that's why this paragraph was set up. And I'll tell you that maybe it's hard to interpret in 2025, but I can bet you that in 2001, when this was written, everybody that signed that page on the back, Merle Draper, Mildred Green, Howard Lake, Margaret Crowley, all understood exactly what paragraph 8 meant, and they agreed to it. So we can try to interpret maybe what we didn't mean or what we did mean, but I can bet you that they knew exactly what that meant when they signed this.
So in 2014, Medina retained Bonadio and Company to, I want to read this. So it says the Village of Medina pays an ad valorem fee to the Niagara County Water District as described above, which is this ad valorem fee. Historically, the fee has not been shared proportionally among the outside users and water districts to which the village resells water. So the decision to do that wasn't made until after 2014. And Bonadio was retained to determine how to allocate that charge amongst all of the various entities that Medina sells water to. So it says Village of Medina, Town of Shelby, Town of Ridgway, and ethanol plant. And the percentage that's in that document is 17.98%, and it was based on assessed valuation. So at a minimum, if you're still using the 17.98 percentage, that's not the correct percentage. And as I said, you could sell no water to Shelby, and you'd still have to pay this charge to the Niagara County Water District. So I don't understand where the basis is to pass this charge along, because it's not based on water. It's not based on the amount of water that's used or sold.
This isn't going to address everything you just said, and I don't want you to think I didn't hear the rest of it. But I do want to point out that I think what Bonadio was addressing was not a invented billing. And I'm not even saying you were trying to say that, but just for clarity, it wasn't like, oh, we should start charging this to Shelby because we have a large cost and we would like to share it with our neighbors, but because of negligent billing practice. Because, like, I've got the 1997 agreement in front of me, and, you know, Section 6 says, each party further agrees to pay the other the pro rata share of the actual costs and charges, which shall be, from time to time, mandated or imposed by the Niagara County Water District concerning sales of water outside of Niagara County in lieu of charges assessed for Niagara County Water District. that whole sentence that we read in paragraph 8 in a different section. So it was something prior to 2014 that had been established that would be charged, but much like the previous electric billing that we've discussed, there's been some negligent billing on behalf of the Village of Medina, where we have established in contracts that we would charge for the pumps that were in use at the water, and for whatever reason unknown to anybody in this board at this time, we had not previously sent those bills to you folks, but in Shelby, but not that there wasn't a precedent to do so or a contract term to do so, but that for some reason it had not been sent. So I know that doesn't cover the totality of everything you just said. Matt will likely want to weigh in further, but at least for the reason that 2014 is when the amount had been revisited was not because the village suddenly decided that, hey, this is a big bill and we want to start splitting it up, but that it was written into a contract and had not been collected on, similar to the electric.
Yeah, and I wasn't opining as to the reason why. I was just saying that's when it was done. So I didn't mean to opine as to any reason why other than it was done in 2014.
Okay, I gotcha.
So Kathy, for those of us that don't have that in front of us, can you explain what you're talking about? So I see the chart here that talks about how the percentage is getting broken up, but that chart you're talking about, is it a flat fee to the town or is it per 1,000 gallons?
So what? I don't, hold on. Let me see if I can do this, Linda. Give me a minute. Because I don't have these documents digitally, but I can have them digitally in just about 2 or 3 minutes.
I think it's based on the assessment of the value of the property. So ad valorem is.
In Medina.
Right, so the
Okay,
value
yes.
of property, and they say, oh, this is the value of Medina we're supplying water to, so.
Okay.
So it's based on the assessment, and for instance, if we lived in Niagara County, there would be like a Niagara County water district tax on your tax bill. They can't do that to us here in Orleans County, but I think that what, Debbie's been here longer than me, and knowing the history of it is that we knew we always had this cost. They always charged it to us. If you're gonna start getting water from us, then it's part of the deal.
Yeah, I'm not.
You share it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand, you're talking about a cost that I don't have any idea where the amount is coming from. Or,
Yeah, it's based on, and on this chart it says the full value assessment of the village of Medina, and then I guess it was 221,589,918,000. So, and they have so what it looks like in this water study, they broke down the assessed values of where we send the water to, and then they figured a way to sort of equitably distribute that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of different ways to look at it and to say, well, does this include here? But the bottom line is, Medina had an established water system. Shelby, not everyone wanted to have wells. They wanted to have fire hydrant service, pressure, and you wanted to buy into the system. So there was a amount where, it costs more than just the cost of the water. And whether we haggle on, does this paragraph mean ad valorem, which if it doesn't mean, what else would it be? That'd be my argument, but it's part of our cost. So if you want a part of the system, share the cost. Now, if you don't believe it's equitable, maybe that's why we're here for negotiations. But there is a cost to everything.
Kathy, you got something else?
Yes, give me just a sec. All right. I should now be sharing something else. Is it big enough?
I think it's too big now.
Yeah, a little too big now.
Little too big?
That's good.
All right, so I'm actually gonna, sorry, this has all my notes, some of my notes and somebody else's notes. So this is the invoice that was sent from the village to the town. That says that it's ad valorem 17.98% of the bill from Niagara County Water District to the village of $131,000. And then if I go to the next page, this is the bill from Niagara County Water District to the village that is based solely on assessed value. So the village would have to pay this regardless of the sale of any water whatsoever to any of the outside users.
Kathy, just so you know, because I don't know if you can see us or not, I don't think there's anybody who's in disagreement that that charge would come to the village, regardless of whether or not we sold water.
Right, but I think Linda, if I'm not answering your question, or if this doesn't help explain what I was talking about, let me know.
No, it does. I just wanted for myself and for everybody else here who's listening to a lot of words but doesn't see anything. What is the charge for, where is it coming from, and what is it based on? So that's helpful for me. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything further on this point, Ms. Bennett, before we move forward?
No, I think that's something that we'll just have to continue to discuss.
Okay. All right, so I guess at this point, I feel like we've sort of covered the next point on ours. It kind of bled in when you brought up the ad valorem, and we kind of covered the electric in there as well. I think the next thing probably, I don't know that I fully understand. I fully do not understand where Dale's role ends and the council's role begins. So these might be questions for you guys to take back to Dale maybe, but we have questions about the water meter reading, particularly, and this could even be your water clerk, I'm not sure. And forgive me, the water clerk reports to Dale, reports to the board.
Water clerk works for Dale.
Okay. So I guess there was a period of time, I think you folks are aware of, where the water bills there was a section of district, a row of houses essentially, that were not called in for a period of time. Is everybody aware of that?
Only from rumors.
Okay, so there was roughly a 10-year period where a number, it seems like the process of getting water called in, I don't fully understand either. It seems like you guys do some of the reading and we do some of the reading, is that correct? All right, can you tell me how that's broken down?
Any house that we have a meter on, we read the electronic. We get the scanner for the meter. Any of those 60 that you were talking about that are direct billed by you guys, do that. I'm almost positive that's what it is.
Well, I know for sure we bill those 60.
District 3, we're specifically talking about.
Oh, my.
You want me to explain that? I was there when this happened.
Go ahead.
Up to you.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Give them a microphone. There are people that have to hear them.
Before Water 7, and we put pits in, we were manually reading Water 3 by hand and sending the amounts to Medina. We read them by hand and send them to Medina. So when we built Water 7, we put meter pits in, big pits. One up here, one on Shelby Basin, so everything was read by meter. By accident, the section from Saltworks Road to the county line was still being read by hand, but it wasn't being read by hand. We amended it, so we didn't pay for, we made a mistake. It wasn't on the meter. At that time, when Medina took over the 7, they were by the meter. We were billing it by hand, billing it on the read. So we didn't pay from, Saltworks Road down Maple Ridge to the county line. It was, a mistake. So, that's where you said they weren't getting paid, which they were right, they weren't.
So what came to that? What was the reason?
It was straightened out. So now, when she reads them, she accounts that, and adds it on, into the bill, you know. We read them manually, and that section has no big meter pad, okay? So we have to add all that up.
Well, what happened with the water that wasn't paid for? You said you guys settled it.
No, we didn't, I was leaving at that time, but we knew that happened. And we admitted to it.
So the process was fixed, but the issue of.
Back payments weren't
Okay, the
paid.
billing was never corrected, but
Billing
the
was never
process
corrected.
was corrected,
That's-
okay.
That's what happened.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do they have an estimate how much, water and how much, wasn't paid?
I'm sure they can track back.
We have comparisons of the water dating back to 2003. There were 10 years that these readings weren't done. So we do have, all we have is comparisons as to how much was used when they were being read and how much was used when they weren't, when we think they weren't being read. So we couldn't come up with an accurate figure as to exactly how much was owed, but we can give a guesstimate.
Well, I think that estimate is based on, now that it's metered, you know, you in a year, this much water is used, so you can estimate approximately that much would you would before or after. So, you know what that is?
Yes, so I have that. Can't put my finger on the number. Jada? Approximately $110,000, is that correct?
That's looking at, prior year and the other years and how the reads were coming back in at a much higher rate. Best guess, unless I get the actual figures, I think we need actual figures for those 10 years.
And that's why we were just moving forward with it when it was discovered in 2018, from what I've gathered from speaking with people. But now, just to clarify, there are still meters in District 3 that are being reported to the village.
Yes, that section has to be read by hand.
Yes.
And has to be recorded and then added up and sent to the village for payment, or for cost.
I just want to say, and whatever that figure is, and of course Jada says there's different rates, but you know, whether it's whatever 100 or you know reduce it to 75, it you know it's significant that the village ended up absorbing. But the one thing's for sure, we were charged and paid it to the Niagara County Water District, so the village you know did pay for it, and that's just an example of the costs that multiply and add up, and they come from every different direction where you wouldn't expect it. That comes to you know the cost of water. Like I've said, it's not just what we pay. There's so many other fees. There's so many line maintenance fees. There's so many electrical pumps, water tanks. It's just endless.
So I guess that did clear up some for me. The parts that have to be read by hand and called in. I guess just I'm not familiar with any other process where like the customer tells the person who's selling to them how much they bought. That's just not like
It's all done by electronic. It's just now that the village of Medina has a meter pit here, meter pit there, they were reading the big numbers. When we changed over to that, before, a long time ago, everything was read by hand on Water 3, because we didn't have a meter pit. You know, the way that first part was built. So it was all read by hand, If there was a leak, we would know it, you know? When Water 7 came in, we upgraded, this section, Shelby Basin, you know, that we put that meter pit in, so it tallied everything except from Saltworks Road to the county line, which was an oversight. We were still reading it with electronics, but it wasn't getting, it was forget. There was a mistake made. It didn't get billed or tagged on to the total bill that we owe the village.
Yeah, no, I do think I understand how, like, you thought it was getting captured by that, or, you know, the town of Shelby thought that it was getting captured in that meter pit, but it wasn't, right?
It was not.
Yeah, no, I think I understand how the mistake was made. I think where I'm, let me pretend I understand, but for the benefit of the audience, would you mind explaining what you said some of it can't be read by the village of Medina?
There's no meter pits on, between Saltworks Road and the county line. For those, I call them spider lines.
The direct hooks into the
They're
meter.
direct hooks in the meter. We put 2-inch taps in, and then maybe hooked up 4 or 5 houses. At that point in the 90s, when Water 4 or 3 went in, that's how it was done. In 1993, I think that's when the water line was in, 94. And that's the only way the engineer could do it that way. So at that point, there was no meter pits. We were reading them by hand, feeding them to Medina. You know, the actual amount we used. When the meter pits went in 07, or was it 08, I'm not sure. It was assumed, it was a negligent, or just a mistake that those houses weren't getting pushed, the water amount wasn't getting pushed to Medina.
Yeah, based on your honest belief that it was being captured. I understand, but I guess I just don't understand.
I think the question might be, you keep saying read by hand. You don't mean physically that the homeowner calls you.
No, it's with a gun. It's with a gun. Electronic gun.
It's still electronic, and somebody goes
You know.
there from the town. It just isn't captured in one place in the pit.
Yeah, it's captured, but,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that is exactly the answer I'm looking for. So I guess, like, it does still, like, I understand it's electronic, and then I'm assuming you guys submit the electronic, like, this is on my desk here. But you guys submit Town of Shelby submits the electronic data to Medina,
No.
or do they?
no, they read Medina reads, total water out of the meter pits now. And then those parts, that part from Saltworks Road to the county line has to be submitted by the clerk.
Okay, so that's where I'm looking for clarification. That little section there, the whole rest of it is on fits, I understand that. That little section there that is being called in by the clerk, what is that, first of all, what is that process like? Like, she gets a total from that electric capture system, and she calls our clerk with the total? Or, like, I guess.
I think what you're looking for is what's the check and balance to make sure this doesn't happen again.
And even more so, I guess this is still this little section, not the totality of the water sold from Medina to Shelby, but for this small portion, this small part, this to me is the customer, and please understand, I'm not accusing anybody from any portion of anything, but just for a check and balance purpose, there's not a service that I receive where I call the gas company and say, heads up, this is how much gas I used. They tell me how much I used, or they estimate, and if I put a reading in, they will check me. And I just am not familiar with any process where the customer tells the person providing the service how much they use.
So if the water, those taps are directly off the main line, right? Are you saying you want the village to go read those meters so that you're sure that your reading is being done and you know firsthand what the meter reads?
I think I'm both not, I'm not saying that, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I'm not sure what a better, that could very well be a better process, but it does seem to me like the village would have an interest in being certain in what was sold versus.
Well, back in 1993, I think that we had a better gentleman's agreement that this is the way we were going to do it. You know, Water 3, we had to read all of Water 3 on the gun, and then the clerk submitted it, you know. That's the way it went down. you know.
Yeah, and I think I can understand why that was advantageous at the time, and that everybody was on the same page, that was wise. I just think that now, I'm just not that much of a gentleman. I wonder if maybe we want to
Well,
formalize a process.
Well, I know Jason and CJ are always talking. Jason's always in the office while CJ's working on the water. So Jason has access to CJ's laptop to see what he's actually doing. CJ gets the reading and then he gives them to Beth, and Beth forwards them to you guys. But Jason's always in CJ's office. I'm
Yeah,
sure he has
and
access.
I know Jason and Dale have a great relationship together too, at least that's my understanding. So, yeah, I don't think, it's more of a trust but verified perspective from my side, not that, like just for safeguarding, especially because this isn't my wallet, it's the Village of Medina's wallet. I just think it would be wise for us, and we're gonna have to schedule another meeting. And I think it's something we could discuss further, but I do think that I'm probably representing the interests of the village when I say I think that we would like to have some sort of check and balance or oversight. If we're selling water, we would like to have some check, balance, or oversight on the water that's sold and being able to see how much that is. Alright, yeah, the last thing on my list was really the tank, and I think that Matt really covered that when we talked about the other points that Kathy brought up earlier. So I feel like there was a fairly decent discussion. Is there anybody from either side of the table that wanted to discuss the tank further or any details to it?
No, actually, I know the ground maintenance, plowing, all the maintenance outside, that's the agreement Shelby takes care of. So we will be continuing, whether or not it's stopped or not,
I'm not aware of time it was happening, so if
Yeah.
you guys are taking that on, you're saying going forward, you guys will maintain the grounds?
We always have.
we always
They
have.
were supposed to, but
Yeah.
Dale confused everyone
Yeah.
when he came into the office, right?
Mark, can you use a thing, please?
Yeah, I think that was the agreement, but I think that Dale confused everyone when he came into the village office. We addressed this at the board meeting, when we spoke, answering your initial letter, that he had said that the town of Shelby is not going to mow or take care of that property anymore. So that's where there was confusion there.
You know, Shelby must care for the maintenance of the grounds, including snow removal, ice treatment, and lawn care. And we'll continue to do that.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
unless you have something else, I'm gonna phone out 2 hours. I think it's a good start.
I don't know, Medina's famous for 4 and better. But, okay, so, do you guys want to, just kind of share from your perspective what we should expect out of the next meeting, and then we can add anything we think, you have a lot of notes. Is there, okay, so do you wanna share with us kind of like what you expect out of the next meeting, and then we can share with you, I'll tell you one thing I'm gonna expect is, what are yours? One thing I'm gonna expect is I'm gonna bring a lot of paper copies of things.
I think the best thing that came out of this meeting from Matt and Kathy was one contract. Boil them all down to one contract.
Yeah.
And then there's gonna be no issue. Work out a.
And maybe even in language that people will be able to understand in the
Plain
future.
English, yeah.
Yeah,
We do
yeah.
one contract with a set rate and increase, because we got another rate coming in 27, Niagara County's putting another 20-cent rate in, a 25-cent rate, so if we can do that, that'll make it easier for both boards.
Yep.
So, that would be nice. That would be really.
And then from my standpoint, I would just like to have, like I said, I would like to have an understanding of how the rate to the town is developed and what it includes.
Thank you, Kathy. I actually have like a whole stack of old town or village board minutes, and I should be able to prepare something. And then, in advance of our next meeting, I'm recognizing now, a little late to the game, but a lot of this stuff we probably should have, now that I wasn't really sure where we were going, I guess. I didn't know if we were gonna start in 1993 or if we were gonna be looking at something more recent. So, what I think the Village of Medina and the Town of Shelby should probably both commit to is putting the water agreements that we have copies of, and so the water agreements exist, and including the amendments, and the water studies we'll be referring to onto the village and town websites respectively, so that folks, now that we know what we're gonna be discussing, we can have that stuff available for folks to be able to follow along with. That sound good?
Good with me.
And then, I have in my notes that you're going to go to your highway superintendent and see how long the pressure testing is going to be going on for. You're going to refer to your engineer, regarding this pressure testing. And at some point, the other goal, we need one contract, but the village also needs to be made aware of what, water pits are going to be shut off, so that the village will not have to maintain those anymore, as soon as possible. And, you know, Kathy, you had mentioned about, you know, selling or obtaining water from Royalton, and that, you can get water from Royalton. You know, we're not disputing that. We just would like the common courtesy of knowing what you're expecting from the diner.
Well, you know, and I certainly appreciated the point you made. And again, I'm a lawyer, I'm not a water engineer, right? So I didn't know what I didn't know until we had this meeting. But I do think it was important to have an understanding that, geez, if we're not gonna, you know, get water through those four pits, and those four pits are gonna, you know, effectively be shut off, that, yeah, why do you wanna continue to maintain them? Right, so I do appreciate that. I don't think I had an understanding for that before. So I agree. I think, you know, that's something that, you know, we can kind of build into this whole master agreement as well. Is how that information gets communicated and shared.
Okay, so when do you want to meet again? And please say after our budget is finalized. End of the month, so.
April 30th.
About, May 7th? How about May 7th?
Wednesday, May 7th,
Yeah,
6 o'clock here.
sure. We'll have that set up then.
Wednesday, May 7th, 6 p.m.
And I'm gonna go back and ask, is it helpful to have Dale and CJ here, the two people that are involved in the water that might be able to answer the question? And Jason.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say they wouldn't be helpful, for sure. I think, there's a good chance that these folks will, have answers to a lot of the stuff by then, but I'm happy to have
Shoot an
them.
email out to the whole board at the meeting?
Time of the meeting, yep.
Date and time?
Yep.
Okay.
And just to have them, if we have a question, you know, even if it's not at the table, but sitting in the audience, so that we can refer to them, you know, if we do have a question, and that includes with our DPW superintendent also.
You good with May 7th?
Yeah.
Kathy, you good with May 7th?
Yeah, hold on just a sec. I need to go check a master calendar out in the kitchen. Give me just a second.
I think it'd be a good idea to have Beth here too, for water.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to bring up there? Before we...
May 7th is perfect.
What?
May 7th is perfect.
Okay.
Right? Isn't that the date you're talking about was May 7th?
Yeah, no, that's good, that's perfect.
Okay, all right.
May 7th, 6 p.m.
Okay.
Alright, yeah, I think we're all.
Start. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Hey, Mike, thanks for that.
No problem.
And that's why, yes, more reason.
Big brother. Our bodyguard.
You work all right, Arlene, all the whole time?
I don't know. I'll find out.
I have people texting me or they're getting it, so.
Well, that's a good thing. Okay.
But it's common courtesy. He's common courtesy, right? It is common courtesy. So, just, you work there, but I'm telling you, I know, we do.
I was ready to start getting fight or flight.
No.